Peter Rogers has asked me to phone. This is Jack Rucastle. How are you doing, Glenn? Bloody awful, to be quite honest. Well, this shower that we're in yesterday is going to do no good for us. But anyway, Glenn, look. Peter Rogers wants to talk to me. Can you put me on?
A clean, well-lit electronics factory in the quiet of southwest England. We avoided heavy industry with its history of conflict. Our aim was to see the difficulties that remain between management and workers, even in relatively pleasant surroundings. For the same reason, we follow a proposal which management claim is good for both sides. It's a kind of productivity scheme which involves the use of consultants, a firm called AIC, to survey work arrangements on the shop floor. At a time of high unemployment, the workers are afraid the survey would eliminate jobs and cause redundancies. The action covers a period of 2 days from the arrival of AIC. As the film begins, Jack Rucastle, spokesman for the 4 craft unions, is arranging emergency meetings for the 600 manual workers.
But I mean, say, what I mean is you're having your big meeting, the ETU and the Transport in General as one meeting. As one meeting, yeah. Same as the sheet metal workers in the East. Yeah. Okay.
There are no redundancies planned for on this side
I'm aware of that, but that's the line they're taking.
But the thing to do, it would create scare tactics by getting people running nearly thither, looking for jobs and work. And quite frankly, this moment regards our build programs, but the rest it's not necessary. And there will in fact be plenty of work with the new electronic equipment that is in fact due to come out onto this section.
So thank you very much, Jim. I must get to the meeting now. I'm a bit late.
Okay, that's all right. Any time.
Right, thank you.
The thing to do is to impress upon your members not to succumb to scare tactics. Yeah, but you've got it now. This is the answers that I get, you know, week by week.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I told you this before the meeting, and I mean this. They'll talk blood out of a bloody stone. Now, honestly, to be quite honest, if we accept any part of it, I'd like to use words that down. If we accept any part of this, I feel sure that we'll be letting our members down. I do, honestly. I'll bring another steward along with me. I won't come on my own. Is that okay? All right. Okay. Right, I'll be over. Bye. You better come over.
Corner sandwich.
Oh, it's not bad. It's all in its own, isn't it?
I'd not think Edwards wants this, you know, myself, but
I'm not interested in whether Edwards wants it, Halsell wants it. Halsell and them want me now, but I said, you heard me say, I won't go over on my own, so you better come along with me. Ask them to leave the premises altogether.
Is there any reason why?
Well, this is going to be suggested at the meeting.
Well, if we said go away to these people now, we wait until and have negotiations which lead to some conclusion that on or around the 1st of July, and then we ask these people to come back. All this time is lost.
Look, Mr. House, you're making this sound as though we are the instruments in this exercise being thrown out. Well, look, let's face it, you knew before last Thursday they were coming down here, didn't you? But we were only informed, we hadn't a clue before last Thursday. Now, there could have been a motive in that. It left us 1 day to get our information from all the Plessey factories. Well, we had a hell of a job to get what we have got in a day. Do you think that is prior consultation? Is that what you call prior consultation? Honestly.
When we spoke to you last,
Thursday. There was the first clue.
There was no commitment made at that stage. You said, let's see these people on the Monday afternoon and discuss the detail more fully with them, which you did yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
All right. You're still apparently not convinced. I feel that we have failed in not convincing you. And it may well be that we didn't consult you early enough. This is what you're indicating now. Fine.
I ask you to get on that phone now and ring Swindon and ask him if there are any redundancies there. I rang them on Saturday morning, and there is redundancies there, and it's the results of only half an exercise what these people did. God help us if they're allowed to do a full exercise. This is my view. Anyway, look, time's getting short. We've half an hour and we've still nothing to tell them.
Well, what I'm wondering, Jack, is quite clearly, is it worth holding the meetings with the frame of mind you appear to have at the moment?
We're going to hold a meeting now, whether it's outside the gate or inside the gate.
No, what I'm suggesting is it worth our while having, even at this short stage, a further meeting with Mr. Edwards or someone, just to go over what the impression we were meaning to convey yesterday afternoon. You know, we failed to communicate adequately to you yesterday afternoon.
Quite, you did. How long would this meeting with Mr. Edwards take? Because our members will definitely not wait past today. This meeting with them is going to take place today. Now, if you wish to get the management down here now, I would ask these two stewards of the AEU and the ETU if they are prepared to ask their members to wait until after lunch or later on this morning. This is all right with me, but what you hope to
achieve by... let's not mince words. I hope that we may be able to convince you that there is a lot to be gained from both sides if this study carries on with effect from today.
And nothing to be lost.
And nothing to be lost.
If you could convince me that, you would achieve something, but no, the people at other Plessey organisations have probably had this assurance, the same as what you're trying to assure us, and it's turned out that some poor devil is now signing on the door.
Morning, Ted. Sorry to interrupt you. Jack and his merry band want to have their meetings this morning, and I've just been having a word with him, and it's fairly evident from his attitude that he is, not in so many direct words, going to move the rejection of AIC. Clearly he wasn't convinced yesterday afternoon, and I'm just wondering whether you think it'd be a wise thing to get together with him and try and put some extra conviction into him before he has these meetings. Otherwise there'll be a waste of time. Well, I think you and I.
When does he want to have his bloody meeting with his men?
He has been arranging them for this morning, but I'm sure these can be cancelled if we can say we would meet him sometime today.
Let me look at my bloody diary for the rest of the day. Can I have a look at this thing now? It's now 10 past 10. Say 11:30.
11:30.
Well, that gives us half hour before he wants to go to his lunch, does he?
Right, 11:45 in my office.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, many thanks. Cheers. Get him in, please, Pete.
Hi, Jack. Hey, don't look.
He has got Charles Bennett with him, by the way. You were quite right.
Yeah.
As usual, you were ahead of me. Like to meet us at 11:45. Now, I know this messes up your morning arrangements on the meetings, but I think it might be worth our while just to have this session with him. And I know it's inconvenient for a number of people, but I fancy at the moment it might be a bit futile you're having your membership meetings without perhaps having a further opportunity to toss not only yesterday's problem but the 1st of July problem over with Ted Edwards and myself.
I think personally, Jack, I think we should go to these meetings and tell us members that we haven't got this consultant. We've told everybody about these meetings.
Well, I'm not going to withdraw my meeting from 10:30. I can go to that meeting and I can say, look, the management wish to have further consultations with us at 12 o'clock.
11:45.
And we will come back and report more fully to you after that. But we must hold these meetings. You know, I mean, let's face it. I've got to have the confidence of my members, and they will very soon lose it if we keep messing them about, pushing them off. You know, there's a meeting at 10:30 and it's put off until 12 o'clock. No,
Fine, this, I think is quite reasonable. The only thing is, I wouldn't like the situation to have deteriorated so much if we can perhaps recover the situation at 11:45. Yeah. I'm just wondering, can you hold the situation?
Yeah, we can hold it on one condition, Mr. Housel. If at this meeting at 11:45, is there going to be anything constructive come out of it? You're not going to just try and tell us at 11:45, well, we don't think it'll not affect your July wage claim, it'll not create a redundancy. This is not what you're just going to tell us at 11:45, is it?
Well, aren't those assurances that you're wanting? Because it strikes me that precisely
you had 2 hours yesterday trying to assure us that this wouldn't be the case. And you didn't convince us in 2 hours. What makes you think the position's going to alter at 12 o'clock? No, if you can come to us at 12 o'clock and turn around and say to us, or 11:45 and say to us, look, we are prepared to guarantee you a minimum of X number of pence per hour on July the 1st, and we are prepared to guarantee you that there will be no redundancy here over the next 12 months. We're prepared to go to our members with a different story to what we are going to. When I said before, we're not going to recommend them, look, Mr. Housel, we went into that room yesterday at 3 o'clock, and on that table there was one of these person's notes. Now, as far as we were aware, it was just something like that left on the table, and we picked it up and read it, and on there it told us directly how many of hourly paid was off, directs was going to be made redundant, and how many indirects was going to be made redundant. And this was what the attitude was all about during the meeting. And whatever you or Mr. Edwards says, produce those minutes of what we saw and give it us in writing that this is denied, it is not true, and then you may get somewhere with us. No, we're going back to our members now. And we're just going to tell them that, all right, we'll do what we can for you.
All right.
It's not a case of doing what we can for you, we're just doing what we can for them, for the lads.
Well, for us all, Jack, I think... Anyway, do your best, and
Anyway,
I'll see you at 11:45.
I even lost some sleep over it last night, and that's one thing I never do with Plessey, as I can assure you. But I did last night. Okay. Oh, you did.
That's all right. Thanks indeed. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Has had a request from his staff union reps that he see them immediately.
Oh, did he?
It's on the same problem. You know the problem John's got? He's shooting off to Alexandria. No. He doesn't want any hot communication to reach there before he gets there.
Yeah. It's difficult to know how to hold it now, It's a bit silly. Well, certainly I'm not going to dive in with the staff reps. It will look too much like panic, and there's no need for panic,
If we are not with the staff, and the staff are not with us on this, we're going to be in a hole that will not dig ourselves out of.
Get our own answers now. We're going to, we demand immediate consultation anyway.
Well,
I don't think the truth has been produced, and that's quite honest.
Well, it has.
Well, we don't. Well, we've had short
it has in a way,
But
because...
it would have been hidden if certain things hadn't been seen.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah.
About a half an hour ago, your stewards were called down to the management, and they intimated to us that they probably knew the results of what would be the outcome of this meeting. And they then said, could we have further consultations with them at 11:45 today, when the July wage award, which we have in, would be discussed. The future of Plessey Poole would be discussed, and that by, if if you can understand, means the position as regards redundancy. So, the position is this, that until the management clear our minds that whatever the outcome of this is, it will not affect our wage award in July, it will not create any redundancy in this factory, we would never ask you to agree to them coming in. Okay? Right, thanks very much.
I never went behind the border.
You've spoken to the Isle of Wight and Titchfield and that, where you've got some sort of a story from them that they've been in and thrown out. What about the other Plessey establishments that have had them, accepted them? Well, I mean, the unions up there are not balmy, are they?
No.
Don't kid yourself that you're a better man than they are, or I'm a better man than they are.
Look, there is a possibility,
I mean,
and I thought of this, was to go and ring Wigan up this morning.
Wigan and the other establishments and Chorley in that area have got far more union experience than we have.
But they've had their redundancies, so I think when it's all blown over, see, they're moving on to Poole. Because
I don't know.
they had redundancy at Titchfield. Oh, Christ, yes.
He told us.
He said they had. Now, wait a minute.
Oh, no, don't get mixed up with aerodynamics.
I'm talking about Plessey's of Titchfield have had redundancies. Before they went in,
now,
or after they'd been in? Ah, no, I don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
It was a few... Well,
yes, they did, but this was in the Plessey
area. We can get on the blower.
There's a few problems, and he wanted to get some information from you what happened down there. All right? Okay. You're very, very faint.
Oh, I can hear you. Look, I'm the works convener here, and yesterday we met the management and they informed us this team of AIC consultants were coming here, and at this stage we've agreed to nothing. But what we're trying to do, I've contacted Swindon, the Isle of Wight and Ilford, and could you tell me if there was any redundancy after the AIC had been up to your place? Pardon? They've had redundancy on that side. And that was after AIC had been there. Nothing at all to do with them. I see. I'm afraid so, yeah, this is what we are afraid of. This line is not being tapped, by the way, don't be. So we're all right. Yeah, this is one of the things we're going in to meet the management in a couple of minutes, actually, at 11:45, to get an assurance that this will not happen here, and we want it in writing, you see. Yeah, oh yes, it'll have to be sealed, signed and delivered, as we asked them to. Anyway, thanks a lot. Well, if they don't come in, that's all there is to it.
I should say, Jack, that we want to know what position this factory's in. Because if the position is there's going to be redundancies whether these people come in or not, we want to know exactly what state. And that's what I was getting at the other day when I said, why are they coming in? Is the position is that the firm's losing, this place is losing money and there's going to be redundancies?
But I just say, I don't know how true it is, but I've been told that even work in the stores has been held up until after this survey's been done.
No,
I don't know how true it is.
You'll hear all sorts of rumours at the moment, Eric. But to me, if you ask the company what is the position as regards the work position here now, they wouldn't dare say other than, well, it's all right. They wouldn't dare say to us there's a likelihood of it closing down in 6 months or 12 months, because they know very well you'd have a gradual drift away if they mention anything
they wouldn't commit themselves on that.
They would only turn around and say...
Put it this way, if we don't accept these people in, are there going to be redundancies? Even still.
I don't think they commit themselves, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think
they can cover themselves every time. Because we never know the truth, will we?
No.
Possibly not. Possibly not.
Whatever can be said to them, if it can be as you know, the least compromising kind of statement or remark that can be made, the better.
Now, have you seen the notes there? Well, you're aware that there is, for instance, no question of redundancy having been mentioned. This is a construction which has been put on the paper by those who have read it. Ted has a certain amount of flexibility in his attitude and approach to this, in my view.
What is Ted's attitude at the moment?
I don't know.
No one
I fancy that whatever it was last night may well have altered this morning, since he's been meeting with Charles Bennett and so on. Now, to go headlong and deny everything that was implied in that note may well be, you know, might be the wrong thing. There may well be something in it, and you merely compromise the situation for later on.
I would say the odds against them coming in here are very, very great. The information that we picked up off that table yesterday will never convince us there's no harm in it.
I've seen rumours started.
These were not...
Particularly to get everybody in that frame of mind.
This was not rumour, this was fact. We saw
it was notes you've seen, yeah.
Dave means, was it accidentally left behind for the purpose?
Well, if it was to for us to throw them out.
Or to get everybody in the frame of mind of accepting that redundancies are inevitable.
First, you put us in a very embarrassing position through asking us to go to meet our members at 10 o'clock or shortly afterwards, arranging a meeting for quarter to 12, cancelling it after we'd told our members we were coming back here and we would be reporting back to them immediately after lunch.
You know, when we fixed the time, we felt we would be finished by then. I said, well, how long are you going to be? You know, and he said, oh, so-and-so. And in fact, we were talking about 11 o'clock, you see. And I said, well, I took a bit on top of that, you know. But then I thought, well, it's now 12:15 is your lunch hour, and so at 12:45 we...
Yeah. All right. Well, be that as it may, we have been placed in a very embarrassing position, which we hope to talk our way out of later on this afternoon. Now then, due to this, we didn't request the meeting, you did. But if you want me to say why we're here, it is at this very moment, the feeling throughout this factory, both from the staff organisations, from non-unionists amongst the staff, never has it been so together as it is on this issue, that these people be asked to leave this establishment today if possible and not return. And I can assure you, Mr. Edwards, the feeling is so acute that at the drop of a pen this afternoon you can have a factory with a shell and a shell only, and nobody in it, or very few. I'm hoping it doesn't come to this. And I mean that. I'm honestly hoping it doesn't come to this, but I would say a lot of it is on your head if we can't reach some sort of an agreement here with an assurance from the management of our future, not only in future wage negotiations, but in the safety of our jobs for at least, you know, the coming years.
Well, I understand, you know, your concern, obviously, about, you know, the future, and your concern is my concern, you know. I too am concerned. We've built up ourselves, you know, a fair-going outfit. It's got its problems. It can stand improvement. But, you know, we have to face the fact of life. It's the company's policy to use AIC. That is the company as a whole. I think it's important to have the survey, frankly. I think it's important from my point of view and from your point of view. If I say I will not have that survey on my patch, I could then be faced with a situation where I'm told you will have it, whether you like it or not. And whether the unions cooperate or not, you will have the survey done.
Would you be prepared to give us a statement guaranteeing every person his job for the next 12 months? No, you can't do it, no.
And you'll have a hell of a sight less chance of doing it if these people come in here. This is our... Before we can agree to these people, or before we can agree to cooperate with these people who are coming on this site, we must ask what we asked for the other day, and that is consultation with other Plessey organisations, at least in the southern area, or region, or some...
Well, I go and talk this over with my colleagues for a minute or two. Right, we'll go, because there's less of us.
Well, this is a cooperation. You think, no?
Well, I think we'll be well advised at the moment to defer the study,
I agree with that.
to allow them to have consultation, which we can fix up, to take the heat out of the situation immediately.
Yeah. I've just asked AIC to leave the site. Went down, I don't know where they've gone, but their office is empty. I think they left Earth. So. Anyway, I've asked them to leave the site, because obviously if we've got a problem like we've got now, you know, it's foolhardy to keep them here. So that gets them away from the site. Now, you want to discuss this matter with your colleagues at other Plessey establishments.
If possible, we'd like you to invite them down here or...
Well, Mr. Tucker will arrange or go into this and see what the possibilities are and the prospects of doing something about that. It's still the company's policy, of course, to have an AIC survey done. Yeah. I think the important thing is that, you know, we've got to resolve the problems of having the survey done somehow. And I think that...
Mr. Edwards, yesterday an unfortunate thing happened. Fortunate for us, unfortunate for you. And if you talk to us from now until Friday night, you're never going to take away the fact that some notes was left on this table. And those figures were there.
Please, this is what we really call it.
When AIC came down here and they talked about our future business prospects, right? And I said, well, in our order book next year, we've got anticipated orders. Now, if those anticipated orders do not materialise, we could be faced with a redundancy. And they said to me, well, you know, if that's the case, you know, what does this mean? And I said, well, it could mean 100, 150 directs, you know, and probably 80 indirects. This is what I said, and this is what Alan wrote down. If the orders do not materialise. Now, next year, we're looking to get an extra £1 million worth of turnover out of this patch. That doesn't say redundancy, does it? No. But if the orders don't materialise, and, you know, so we'd expect an order from Belfast for a remote control system worth about £60,000. Now, you know, it's the opinion of the salespeople that we've got a very good chance of getting that order. But there's competition in the field. Or, for all I know, Belfast may decide that they haven't got the money to spend this year. And, you know, there's all those things which, you know, I can do nothing about. I can only look at the budget when I'm planning it and all the rest of it and say, we are vulnerable because these orders are anticipated, not in our hands. Now, you know, it's the poor management that doesn't look at that situation and say, well, this could mean that we may have to put people up. What am I going to do about it? Can I take out any insurance? It's unfortunate you saw those figures, you know, and I don't mean it's unfortunate from my point of view, I mean it's unfortunate from your point of view because it obviously put worries into your mind, which I'd rather you didn't have. Bad enough me worrying about these things without you like worrying about as well.
I don't disbelieve one word of what you said, but...
You see, this morning when we'd finished, we looked at about, you know, we'd got down to about 30 people, directs. And we said, Christ, you know, with wastage, a few pregnancies and a few odds and ends like that, you know, no problem.
Now,
I said to Charlie Bennett, I said, you know, a few pregnancies, what are you doing next week, you know, like that.
You said you've asked ICA to go off and leave the site. Now, could we have your assurance that these people will not be asked back until such time as this July matter is settled? I mean, we can settle it if we have a figure, we know that you know
figure we want. If you meet that figure, we can settle it within the next 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I quite agree with you. Don't hear that, which, you know, makes it a different way. We've got a negotiation, and it'll be a fairly, I should think, a fairly lengthy negotiation, would be my estimation of the...
Well, we have now your assurance that these people will not be coming back until such times as we reached agreement on our July wage claim.
I can't give you that assurance, Jack.
Well, until you can, Mr. Edwards, we will not cooperate with them in any survey or anything else until we at least are assured it will not affect our future. And by our future, I mean monetary-wise.
Pay increase.
Yeah.
Could we get this quite clear, that what you're saying to me is that you won't cooperate with AIC unless you have management's assurance that the July award will not be affected by their findings in any way?
Yes. I'm sorry to have to put it this way, but we can't completely isolate one from the other. They've been in, they've convinced you that they can get more production efficiency. I don't doubt it, but they're going into the wrong place first, aren't they? Once we've got that settled, I won't promise you, because we don't. We go back to our members for our promises. Probably we can make recommendations to them, but once we've got the July affair settled, we can go back to our members, and there would be a different thought in their mind, obviously, wouldn't there? That they weren't going to take anything out of this to put onto the other affair.
Well, you can go back to your members, and first of all you can tell them AIC left the site.
Yes, this is the first thing.
And that's the first, you know, I should talk about the important thing to you. Two, that management will give you some assistance in finding out some more facts, right?
Yeah.
You can give them, you can tell them what I told you about the figures, if they know about them. What else is the you want to say? Anything? Oh, and the management is considering your, you know, this business about the July pay. I think considering would be the best answer.
Can we assure them that they will not be coming back until at least we reach settlement? I mean, if we settle the amount this week and agree to it, at least we can assure our members we've got a settlement, and now any harm that can be done out of this lot can only, well, it wouldn't be harm, it would be a benefit to us.
Bring it in.
In which case, no, we could defer. Can we have a...
Yeah, can we have 5 minutes more, please? He won't commit himself. He will not commit himself at this moment in time to AIC after they've settled that pay award. After they've settled it. He won't commit himself to that. That's for sure.
No, he won't commit himself.
Right? So we can't get that commitment on him. I am committed to do something about his pay.
And he wanted to be committed about AIC not going on before the 1st of July, until we settle.
Precisely. So he's got me in a very interesting position.
He's got a written commitment, he wants a verbal commitment, which you'd have to honour. The AIC not coming on the patch.
See, I have been knowledge of whether Dick Haynes may say, well, you know, we'll have to risk the industrial unrest that could arise from this and get him in and get on with it. I don't know, you know what he'll say. So I'm not a free agent in this matter.
Do you really think it's unreasonable for Ted to go back in and say, in view of the company policy on this, and the fact that he believes that it's not an unhealthy thing to have the organisation looked at, that whilst he is cognizant of their fears, having regard to the review of their pay, that he still wants to be in a position to have some sort of feeling between them, that they will go along with an AIC survey once they've gone through the communication process, and if they don't see any insurmountable barriers,
Yeah, but I think, you see, we must also bear in mind that the staff unions are also against it. And the staff unions aren't, due for any negotiations of any description, in salary and what have you.
The reason why everyone's against it at the moment is because of this fear of redundancy, and I'm not sure that we've disquelled this. All right, we can't factually in writing say there's no.
But can we sit in there and say there will be no redundancy?
No, Jack has taken the situation on that state.
Yes, he has. I think he read you very well.
He accepted that.
I think he's accepted what I've said, which is
the business.
The truth of the matter, that's all I can say to him,
Exactly.
I can only tell the man the truth, I can tell him nothing else.
He used to come back and die. Everybody all complete round the table, we're going to get something out on time, and there's bound to be something. Then they used to come in and they cut the word bash.
Well, I'm convinced that they'll come back and they'll agree to our request that AIC don't come back until our July wage award claim is settled.
Agree. Time though, isn't it? In July.
Oh no.
If we settled it before.
Agreed this afternoon.
Yeah, but do you think?
No, we won't. But it is possible.
But when you said, well, he won't give that commitment, it seems to me that whilst he may not give it in writing, we should be asking for an attitude from him, positive to AIC once we've negotiated.
We shouldn't ask him for that attitude this afternoon.
No, I don't.
A little later on.
But he's going to ask Ted for his commitment to AIC not coming back on the side.
I'm saying. It's necessary just to get him into a position where he can put it off for a little while. Puts off asking Ted that situation, if you like, for a week or 10 days or so, until the emotion of the thing has dropped. We've got to get him into the position where he asks that question, not this afternoon, but in 10 days' time.
We could adjourn this discussion. Is it possible to do that? Because he's asking us for undertakings, which, if you like, we could say, well, we can't give you that. We've taken AIC off the site and we've got rid of the immediate problem.
Yeah.
We're giving you the opportunity to review what has happened to the sites and to form a judgment about, the situation. And we would like you, in fact, to go through all that lot and sort out, the ins and outs of that before we give you any guarantees about them not coming on the site. We will get on with the July, pay discussion, certainly, But we feel that, we'd like you to go and find out a bit more about AIC and then for us to have some more talks about it.
Yes, in fact, you could put it in the form that he obviously wants a commitment from you that AIC will not reappear on the site prior to the negotiations. And you obviously desire to have a commitment from him eventually that he will have AIC on the site. Now, it seems that as either of you are not prepared to make that commitment, perhaps in time, over the next week or two, when he's done his communications, and when you've had to think about it, that both of you will be prepared to make such commitments. Why not put it that way, so that he knows that you want that from him?
Well, let's see if I can get the first one down.
It's refreshing to know that Jack didn't close the door entirely on it by wishing to proceed with communications with people.
I can't write, think and listen at the same time, unfortunately. As we leave the July pay award situation, that we will get on with discussing that pay award. Right?
We will get on with discussing it as soon as possible.
We'll get on with discussing that pay award. But now I see to one side until you've, sorted your bits and pieces out, until I find out what the repercussions of me telling them to go home, and, then we have some more discussions about AIC on site and where we go from there. Does that sound reasonable?
In the meantime, you will try and arrange meetings with Southern Region factories.
Yes.
Right.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yes. Just clarify one point for me. We will start discussing the July position. I'm pretty sure that we could complete the discussions within
a reasonable period of fortnight, 3 weeks. I don't think we've ever taken. Yeah, we've never taken much longer than that. So, assuming that we could complete our discussions by the end of, say, 2 or 3 weeks, AIC will not come back until those discussions are completed.
No, Jack, I'm sorry. Let me put it to you this way. Again, I will agree to start the discussions on the July award. I will not give any commitment about the return of AIC. Right? You will not give any commitment about cooperation with the return of AIC until such times as you've had time to discuss this thing and to come back and have a meeting with the management about an AIC carrying out a survey on this site. In other words, I want to leave the July talks to one side. I want to split the thing in two. The July talks, keep the two apart. There is no commitment on your part for AIC to do its survey. There is no commitment on my part not to, as a management decision, bring in AIC to survey that part of the company which is, not your problem. So all I'm really saying is, please let us leave the commitment about AIC open on both sides. There to be no commitment on either side until you've had time to root around and find out about it, and then we can sit down and discuss AIC coming on this site to do a survey.
Well, it's certainly not what we expected. No, we very seldom do get what we expect. But
I think you've had a very good afternoon, actually, Jack. If you wouldn't mind me saying so. You've had AIC off the site a bit sharpish, which is no mean achievement. You've had the figures explained to you. You've got agreement to get on with the talks. You've got agreement for assistance in information. All you haven't got is a commitment from the company about not bringing AIC in. One of the things about this survey, one of the things about the AIC project, is in the industrial relations field. The company is already in the process of setting up joint consultation. Now it can't, as I see it, have joint consultation and be creeping round, trying to change things without your knowledge. I don't see how you can do it. In my experience with, over many years of dealing with trade unions, I just don't see how you can, sneak around the back and get anything done. I mean, dealing with intelligent blokes, they see what's going on and they say, hello, what are they up to? Well, and before you know where you are, you've got trouble on your platter. So, whatever the work programmes are, they would have to spell out those work programmes, and before we could start work on, we'd have to get your agreement and cooperation. So I said, you must come more often. You've probably done more for industrial relations on this site with that bit of paper than I've done in 2.5 years. And he understood by my tone of voice precisely what I meant.
I felt sorry for him in a way, but I was awfully glad he did what he did. Well, I was sorry for him for what we may have let him in for. I don't know.
He certainly changed colour pretty
fast. He was rather bright scarlet when he...
Well, no, he tried to blame me for it. He said I should have picked his paper up. Good on you.
All right, Mr. Edwards, we'll...
Have we people quoting you that if we keep our feet on the nail pedal, we shall show profit this year?
Yes, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't.
I think Jack missed that.
I think when we get down to a bit more of the joint consultation, people will understand what profit's about. Now, if you talk to, freely about profit, and management tend to be a bit chary about it because everybody thinks profits are massive. And if you look at, Plessey's profit last year, for instance, I believe it worked out about £5 per employee.
Oh,
Yeah, £5 per employee. The profit, which was left after tax and all the rest of it. It was about £5 per head.
Is that after shareholders' dividends, etc.?
That had to come out of that.
28 million, I think they made, didn't they? Yeah, 28, yeah, 28.
How many people do we employ?
At 85.
85,000. So work it out. I think I'm right. Per head, per week, that was. Per head, per week. Yeah. Well, you know, the reason I made this point, you see, is that if you think there was a £3 award made recently, right? Well, they're at least £2, right? If you're giving that much away a week. So, you know, in order for the company to be successful, it's got to keep finding that extra profit to maintain, you know, its profitability. Otherwise, you know, it just feel a burden, doesn't it?
Well, we've got some information.
Right.
Yes, we've got at least 2 unions. The other 2 have not done it, I'm afraid. But we have got 2 unions. As early as possible. Sue yourself tomorrow if you wish.
Your unions in now, all the staff unions and whatnot. So it's trying to convince them now, you know. So that's as far as it goes, you know. Yeah. I want 4 hours today and I want 2 hours yesterday.
All right, Robert.
I felt it was out of character for him to do what he did do and to take advantage of a situation. I would have said, right, I would have felt that what would have been normal, knowing the man, would to say, hello, I've got a bit of dynamite here, or potential dynamite, stuff it in his pocket, come round the corner and collar me or Ted or Bill or somebody and say, you know, what's in this?
But he probably showed it to the others and they ran him along.
Oh, he did it. He did it deliberately. He admitted it to me. But in the wind over the past few weeks has been this redundancy possibility. Rumour.
Yeah, well,
and he wanted to drive the thing into the open, and he used it, and, you know, he clearly took the opportunity that fell into his lap.
you say it's quieted down. I hope so, because if any of you read last night's evening papers, or probably today's, I haven't seen them yet.
No,
the fact is that the company's 9-month results came out, in which the chairman did refer to the cost reduction exercise.
That's right.
Now, they may pick this up in several ways, and it may, in fact, raise the thing again. I hope not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so, actually. And anyway, if that comes up, we can explain what sort of cost reduction exercise we run.
I don't want anybody to start spinning out work. So the quarter results we're looking for now aren't in any way affected.
No,
we've still got to make sure that that doesn't suffer.
One of the reasons which prompted me to, you know, to say good afternoon to AIC was the time of the year. If it had been happening in sort of, you know, in July or August next, I might well have taken another view of it. I don't know, because my mind was clearly conditioned to one thing, that the last thing I wanted on this patch was a strike of any shape or description.
Or even a go slow.
Or any,
overtime ban.
Any industrial action of any description.
Right.
You know, that had to be killed. That was my main priority at that moment.
Because he had nothing to gain by taking another posture.
Is there any point in fact that following through from the situation now, which has perhaps been calmed, but I don't think we could honestly say restored yet, there will never be a restoration of this situation until the July wage award has been adjusted, in my opinion.
No, that's probably come.
Yeah. I think the point about this one is that if we haven't got a complete restoration of the situation, is there any point in having some more open communications with myself, perhaps, on a joint consultative basis about next year, putting forward the position that we have to consider? No? I don't want to involve, no, it's not a question of that. I don't want to involve myself unnecessarily, frankly, because it's being handled well enough by you.
Well, I think that, you know, one of the problems there might be that, you know, you can over-communicate.
That's too much.
That's me thinks. Yeah, you know. Hello, he's in now, sort of thing, right? They must be worried about someone, you know. You see, I've put it to these people, anyway, to both the staff unions and the manual unions, you know, that I put what this company's profits were and what sort of pay increases have been given. And, you know, I've said, work it out for yourself. If we carry on the way we're going on, just giving more money without any more productivity, then, you know, the end is inevitable.
Because all we keep for every person in the company means the company earns no profits.
Virtually, that's right, because we've already given 3 out of 5 a week that we make.
Well, all right, there's clearly a certain amount of national anxiety creeping through the manual workforce inevitably. And
what we really need now, is for the economy to sort of start to whip itself back into shape, and order books to increase and things like this.
But they're not going to do that now, are they?
Well, no, they're not. At least we have shares went up 10 new pennies yesterday.
Well, my dad was at 8.
First of all, I think you need an explanation of why we didn't keep our promise to come back to you yesterday afternoon. The reason for this is that we were held at a meeting with the management until 4 o'clock. I think the best way out of this meeting is to read to you the minutes which I've just received from the management, and they are a fair summary of what took place yesterday. Mr. Newcastle then said that before the trade unions could agree to cooperate with consultants, they required further time to contact their opposite numbers at other Plessey establishments. Following an adjournment, Mr. Edwards advised the trade unions that in the circumstances he had asked AIC team to leave the site, which they did at 2:30 yesterday. He added that Mr. Tucker would assist Mr. Newcastle and the other unions in contacting other establishments with a view to gathering further information about the use of AIC. But he pointed out that it was still his intention that a survey be carried out at Poole sometime in the future.
The redundancies in their plants? Any action?
I would rather answer that, brother, when we've met the stewards from the other factories, because talking over the telephone, they are very, very careful. You understand why. But when we meet them, we'll be round the table. There will be no member of the management there. We'll be there, your stewards and the stewards from the other Plessey organisations, which, well, we'll get full information then, and probably it won't only be on AIC. We'll get all the information we've been looking for a number of years, really. We've been trying to do this, and now we've put them in a position. We've got them over a battle.
That means that makes a lot more. Out of the whole
It makes
well, it's obvious. If you're
yeah.
only doing half as much work, you only want half the office staff.
Quite. Well, we'll go into that, dear, and we'll make sure that none of our members suffer. The only thing is, one thing I would like to say, if there is a redundancy, we would insist that non-unionists went first, dear.
If there is a redundancy,
there won't be.
Will the part-timers be hit first?
No, they would. We could almost.
I mean, there's not sort of first lot of workers and a second-class lot of workers.
No, I can assure you, love, and it'll be on record.
That's even with the
that we will
contractors.
guarantee that the contractors will be off the site before there is one redundant, before a Plessey employee, and you are part-timers are Plessey employees.
If after their survey and they wanted to come in and we'd accepted them, right? Then we have discussions of what their suggestions are, what they intend to do.
Our redundancy agreement could cover.
Yeah, so if they said, oh, well, because I mean getting rid of a few people, what are we going to do then?
Well,
we're not going to shout a big yes, that's all right, are we?
No. This is what I said. The redundancy agreement that we have got would look after that, because if it was only 25, there are 25 contractors, and they would do. They would do the.
Well, these are the sort of
things
I mean, that
what would save our members from any embarrassment or redundancy.
The sort of thing that'll have to be brought up in a discussion.
It'd be quite simple for them to chop 50 contractors, chop 50 Plessey people, and the next week bring back 50 contractors. That's what you've got to watch.
Yeah, well, we would have to cover that. Yeah, we'd have to cover that. Anyway.